Hello and welcome to Political Paradigm. I am Terry Ikumi. Flags continue to be flown at half-staff as ordered by President Bola Tinubu as the nation continues the 7-day mourning of former President Muhammadu Buhari, who passed away on Sunday, the 13th of July, in a London hospital. Well, he's since been buried according to Islamic rites, but reactions continue to trail his death. Now, the truth is, maybe not everyone is mourning. And the reason for this is that there are those who believe that the late president failed and sets the country back. The bulk of this comes from youths who had high hopes that a president with a track record of forthrightness and a military background would turn around the fortunes of the country and improve the security situation. Anyways, here's one of the videos of the late president that's been trending the most since his death.
I think God has given me an incredible opportunity to serve the country. And I thank God for that. So please, whoever thought that there has been some form of injustice on him, we are all human. There is no doubt I hurt some people, and I wish they will pardon me. And those that think that I've hurt them so much, please pardon me.
President Buhari there apologizing to anyone he hurt while in office. Well, let's get into the conversation today on Political Paradigm. My guest is a former governor of Anambra State who served with the late president in his 2 terms as Minister of Labor, Senator Chris Ngige. Welcome to Political Paradigm, distinguished.
Yeah, thank you, Terry.
I feel special to be able to pull you out after almost 3 years of you being away from the media and public space. But I think this is good timing. First off, I'd like to commiserate with you or extend my condolences to you because of how much of a relationship I know you shared with the late President Muhammadu Buhari.
Exactly.
Could you kindly tell us, could you start off this interview by telling us how you received the news of the death of President Muhammadu Buhari?
I received the news, Terry, like a thunderbolt from the blues. This is because, like you rightly said, I have not been talking to the media after I left government because I decided that I have to go back to my private life, get my private engagements, businesses up again, because they suffered while I was away doing politics and public service. So it was my son in the UK who called me around 5:30. I said, look at the news he was getting. That's on Sunday the 13th. And I told him it's not believable. And later my wife also sent me a text, which was Garba Shewu's comment. It was unbelievable. You know why? I had traveled with Boss Mustafa, the secretary to the government. I was coming back from the UK, from the US. I traveled BA, so we met in the UK, in London, and we discussed in the aircraft. And he said that the president was sick, and that, but that he's getting better. I then called one of my friends, a doctor in Harley Street, because I know he visits Harley Street clinics, London clinic, and the rest. And my friend confirmed, because he's also a specialist physician around that area. My colleague in the LO campus in the medical school. And he confirmed it too. I don't know why it has happened, but it has happened. And it's God's will. That's what I want to take it as. But for me, it's a personal loss. A personal loss because working with somebody for 8 years, He's not working for 8 days. And he's somebody who I have interacted with closely since 2008. Even though our first meeting was in 2003, when he was running for the presidency for the first time with my friend, Late Chubo Kadibo. So I was also campaigning that time. So I met them. Chuba brought him and we met. And I could see a plain person playing politics with transparency, open mind, good morals, and the rest of them. So when the opportunity came for us in ACN to look at our political profile and how we can be impressionable in Nigeria, I and the current president and Baba Konde, Chief Shegu Oshoba, and others, we decided after an ACM meeting that we need to forge an alliance with AMPP at that time, because he was their presidential candidate in 2008. So we started rounds of meeting in Governor Bafarawa's house in Asokoro, in Abuja here. And the meeting did not crystallize. But in 2011, by that time he has moved on to CPC. We resuscitated the discussion because the former discussion was frustrated by some members of the then AMPP who didn't want a measure. They saw him as somebody that already has a block vote, a bankable vote of 12 million supporters. So that 2011, we broached the idea of forming an alliance and going to the election. So we wrote INEC, and INEC said no, that there's nothing like an alliance. Either one party has to collapse and be swallowed by the other. Even at that time, it was already getting late because the national election was near. So we held meetings with him. He came to the meeting in Lagos House with Sulehama, Baba, Buba Galadima, and Ahamba, and the others.
This was ahead of the 2011 election.
That's right. We toyed with so many ideas. You know, they have their logo, which is a pen in CPC. And we had our broom in ACN. So when we thought we were being successful, I and the current president, every day we would design what we think the alliance could be in terms of logo. They had core CPC men did not want to lose the identity of their pen. We also didn't want to lose our broom. Our broom came from the palm tree. Many people don't know the story. It came from the palm tree of Awolowo, of Former Action Group. And that's why our party was either AC, like AG, and Progressive Party. So we didn't also want to lose our broom. And of course, when INEC now wrote us that there is no alliance, we should collapse into one party. The whole thing broke down. It was late. We had Nuhu Ribadu already as our presidential candidate. And so we decided to go and rough it out. And this CPC also went to rough it out. Of course, they gathered their normal 12 million votes.
But it wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough.
So that means if in 2011 it had worked out,
yes,
Buhari would have been president
That's
in
right.
2011.
That's right. If that alliance had gone into a merger, we didn't want to lose our identity. We didn't want to lose our broom. And of course, the discussions were at the onset, at the setting of the national election, about 2-3 months to the election. So that's about November, December, January. So that was, but that was when I became close to him. He naturally liked me because of my contributions to the meeting, which was that we can do this thing, we can do it, and that we can take things from all parties and then forge ahead. But the hardliners in CPC wanted us to lose our identity. Of course, the current president, Siwaju and Baba Konde, they didn't like it, and I don't also. And it's not like it because we have done a lot to create identity for our AC. I was the man in charge of Southeast. I was running AC in Southeast. I was spending my resources doing it. Nobody gave me any funds. I was doing it with my resources. In fact, I had a very valiant group of people who were foot soldiers, and they never blinked.
Let me ask you a question, because you've taken us down memory lane to how the APC came to be and how President Buhari emerged as the candidate. Something you said suggested that in 2011 he would have been the candidate if the coalition had worked.
That's right.
And then in 2015 he emerged as the candidate.
Yes.
What led to his emergence as the candidate? Was it his block votes? Or did the people at the time, or did the coalition at the time believe in him to transform, transform the country? Because at the time, the country was a little shaky because of insecurity and concerns about the economy under President Goodluck Jonathan.
Yes. You see, in that 2011 then even, election, if you remember, Boko Haram has started. Insecurity has started. It has started. And so one of our driving forces was that this is a retired general, a no-nonsense retired general, and that he will face these people head on for security. And we figured also that in the AC, we have a pool of intellectuals, people who can manage the economy and do better. And many people don't also know that in that 2011 election, if we had done the measure then, it was the same Oshibajo
that was
going to be vice president, because that was what we decided in our ACN caucus, if it works. And of course, we had problem even in the ACN caucus convincing some people about the measure and about the man. A lot of them opposed the measure. In fact, truth told, Chief Audogbe, Chief Bisi Akonde, they were not too excited about that route, because they said the man put them in detention without fair hearing. They went to Kirikiri, Agodi prison, and the rest of them. So, but me and Asiwaju, we started talking to them. Bygone should be bygone. We're now in a new era, and the rest of them all.
Over time, were those fences mended?
Mended, very, very well mended. That Chief Bisi Akonde became his best friend in the whole setup. Chief Bisi Akonde. He doesn't play with him. And so in 2015 or 2013, when we resuscitated the talk, after everybody has gone and failed at the pool, we now came back very sober, very willing now to concede things. And of course, the CPC, they have also done their internal purification. And some people were sidelined so that the merger could work. So I took part in all the major talks because I was a senator then, and I was the only senator from the eastern region of Nigeria, the former eastern region. So it was like I was the beachhead for ACN in their evangelization in the southeast. So we tried in 2013. It worked. We put out our constitution. If you go to our constitution, you see my name. Chief Oshaba was the chairman. And so that's how we formed APC. Okay. Most of the meetings were in Tommy Kimi's house. Tommy Kimi was the chairman from the ACN side. Yeah. And was the overall chairman too of all the chairmen from the different parties. Yeah. And that's how we got APC. And started going. And that brought me closer to President Buhari because in presenting the Constitution, I was the one who presented the Constitution.
Clearly, you had a very close relationship with him because we know he's visited you in your house before, if I recall correctly.
He's been to this house. About 3 times.
Okay, so
well, 2 times before he became president, and once after he was president.
Well, yes. Many will understand the relationship you shared with him, which is why even during the cabinet reshuffle, you did not get reshuffled. You said 8 years. But beyond that,
they would not reshuffle anybody into Labour. People were running away from being Labour minister.
Okay. And you survived it. Well, let's talk about your working relationship with him. You know,
I had a good personal relationship.
Yeah, I can tell because your statement says that he was a very hardworking.
Yeah, even if you go further down the lane, memory lane, he invited my children. When I went to tell him I was going to Lagos for the graduation of my daughter from University of Lagos, MBBS, a medical doctor, he shouted, your daughter schooling here, doing MBBS? I said, yes. And that he said, I would like you to see her. That's how he speaks. He said, I would like to see her. And when we came back, he invited us to a luncheon, all my children.
I'm going through your statement, which you released right after you heard the news, and you described him as a very hardworking and disciplined as well as regimented individual who played politics with morals and allowed his staff officers and political appointees the latitude to do their job without undue interference and goading. While that may sound good, some would interpret it to mean that the president left his employees to do whatever they liked. That negatively affected governance. There are some who described him as Baba Go Slow because of how he was slow to act and that he had ministers who did not fit the position.
No, those people are very far away from
the truth.
The truth, and to to getting the point. They're missing the point. There are 2 types of bosses. You can have a boss who is a micromanager. That boss will look into even what you're doing and sometimes interfere and say, no, don't do this. If you do this, this will happen. Even though he's not the one on seat, the driver's seat, and has delegated that function to you. There are other bosses like Buhari who delegate functions to you. And once they delegate those functions to you, they believe you should use a very good judgment to do the job. They believe that even in doing the job, you will know that you're supposed to do the right thing all the time. And finally, that if you do anything like corruption or malfeasance, that there's Allah, there's God, and that you'll be accountable. So he says it to us, the lieutenants and principal officers, that whatever you do, you will be accountable for it the last day. But those who feel he doesn't act, they're lying. If incontrovertible evidence is brought against you for breach of code of conduct, like corruption, bribery, untoward things, he reacts. He fired 2 ministers in our second coming. He did. And he's firm when he notices and have evidence that something has gone wrong. That's when you see him. I won't call names, but there was a time some ministers will collide on something. They'll disagree vehemently on something. And if it's brought out to him, he will reprimand whoever is involved. He will reprimand you. And he has reprimanded the minister before me. And the minister was shocked. I was also shocked because the minister was close to him. So those saying that are not being fair to him.
Right, if you say that, how then do you justify the state of the economy under him?
When I hear so many of the things said about the state of economy under Buhari and what he should have done or what he should have not done, I laugh. I laugh for 2 reasons. Number one is that Nigerian economy is not an economy you use theory. The theory of an econometrician from Harvard or MIT and come and apply it here. No. This economy is a very complex economy. The people of Nigeria are complex people. He will even tell you, anybody who has been president of Nigeria will tell you, from Obasanjo to everybody, will tell you that Nigerians are complex people to manage. And we are. I admit that. So
Complex, not impossible.
they're complex.
Complex is fair enough, but not impossible because,
They're complex.
under him,
Yes. Yes.
Nigeria became the poverty capital of the world.
No, let me tell you. Why do you do blanket tarring? It's not possible. It's not good. After he took over, there was agitation in Niger Delta. They blew up pipelines for crude exports and harnessing of crude from the rigs. Our production fell from 2.1 million barrels a day to 800,000 barrels. And at a point, dipped to 500,000 barrels. Price moved from $90 a barrel, $100 a barrel, and the vicinity of $80 a barrel to 45. Yes, I was a witness because I'm in charge of those who are agitating for more salaries, more allowances, and more welfare. So he put me into the economic team so that I can see, I can offer advice too, and then carry it to my people, the labor people. So I was a member. And if you go to the vice president's office, Professor Shibajo, you will see the map of Nigeria, and you will see our oil wells, and you will see the aggregate production on a daily basis and aggregate sale. He was the chairman of the economic team. So when people say this, I said, you are not fair. The prices have gone down to $40. At a point, 30 something. And at a point, we couldn't sell. We had to pay for storage going to the COVID. And COVID period, no sales. We were begging people to even take so that you don't pay for storage. That was how the bad decision was. And about 6 months after we came in, Nigeria went into first recession because of that. Because we were doing an economy that was preponderantly dependent on oil sales, crude oil, which is not to be.
Yes, I agree. But then,
And
the president...
I'm coming. Do not also forget that as you're doing this, the population of the country was going up. The population was going up. And so if you were doing 2 million barrels 15 years ago, when your population was 150, and the same population has now moved up to 200 million, 220, because this money or this revenue is for everybody. It's for facilities, for welfare facilities, health, education, infrastructure, and the rest of them all. So you are growing in size, and the quantity of food you want to share in a family is the same amount of food that you had 15 years ago. That's what it is. So people will get less. That is the simplistic way of looking at it. So I don't want to go into that area, but I know that some econometricians that spoke with me at the Economic Council, some governors too, that we spoke with and fought in the Economic Council over devaluation of the currency, over even total removal of subsidy without local production of petrol and products. They now are laughing. They know we told them the right thing at that time.
How do you respond to people who say that President Buhari did not have the courage to remove fuel subsidy, even though it was necessary at the time?
We did a lot of discussions on that with a lot of people, experts, and even the labor unions. These labor unions, it's not every time that they make suggestions that you throw it away, because the labor union has been recalibrated. A lot of intelligent people are there. The president of Pengasem is a petroleum engineer. He was in the oil industry. Ayuba Waba, who worked with me, is a graduate. He's a master's degree holder. He's a health scientist. So they are wearing down. It's not like before, by Modu and the rest of them all. No. These ones know what they do. They employ consultants to look at issues, economy, and things like that, and advise them. And when they come to government meetings, they throw those things, and they come with those their consultants and come with statistics. So they insisted that they're not against fuel subsidy removal, but that before the removal, the 2-3 refineries in Nigeria and Dangote refinery should come up. It's a position government accepted. And that's what we're working on too. And it's in our handover notes and everything. So I don't like to go into those areas. What everybody should now concern themselves with is, how do we now revive our economy and move forward?
Well, beyond that, we're taking a look at the life and times of President Muhammadu Buhari. He wasn't just anyone. He was president of Nigeria for 8 years. He came into office at a time when Nigerians needed a savior, so to speak. And one of the things he talked about that he was going to do was security. You also mentioned it in our opening, that you believe that as a retired general, he was a no-nonsense man who would address the issues of insecurity. But some say he didn't.
They are entitled to the opinion.
But did he?
They're entitled to the opinion.
The number of
some of us in government know that he did his best. And we know that at the time he was coming in, I was a senator. We were afraid about our homes in Abuja. We were afraid about going to church in Abuja. We were afraid even in National Assembly. At one time, there was a rumor in National Assembly that Boko Haram people were coming and that bomb blasts would occur. National Assembly was shut down that day. Everybody scampered for safety. But he came. More than 14 local governments were lost to Boko Haram. They have hosted their flags in those territories. He recovered almost all of them. He bought more arms for Nigerian security forces. We got our Kanu aircrafts. We got so many other things. In fact, he tried to equip the armed forces, unlike other people before him, with lean resources that we had. So you're entitled to your opinion on the security situation, but for me, I know that he tried to improve the situation, and it was improved, especially with regards to the security breach we had in that time, which is in Boko Haram in the northeast at that time. At that time, the northwest had not started experiencing all this banditry, which is an accompaniment.
But is that true?
The twin set of rustling of cattle, which started there, and then the people started arming themselves and shooting those who come to rustle, and from there they started kidnapping people. You know, all this, I tell you, are part of the welfare state which Nigeria should be, as per our constitution.
The issue of security is a big deal in Nigeria. And while you say that people are entitled to their opinions, some would bring statistics to show that the security situation under President Muhammadu Buhari did not abate as much as you put it. Because recall that under him, Abuja to Kaduna Road was not motorable, was not passable. You would almost not pass through that road without being kidnapped. And pockets of banditry began to spring up under him as well.
Yes.
And a track record from a report from the Nigeria Security Tracker said that at least over 98,000 people were killed in documented violence by armed and non-state actors in Nigeria. And this began from 2011 till when he left office. I don't know how you would say confidently that President Buhari tackled the issue of security.
I told you he did his best.
But it wasn't enough.
It's up to you. It's up to you. The people of Northeast are praising him, clapping for him.
When the news of his death broke, I began to follow conversations online because of the controversies that surrounded President Buhari, who many described as not likable. Many Nigerians had high hopes, and it was really disheartening to find comments online suggesting joy and happiness. And I dare say that most of these comments came from young people. And some would point to that lazy youth comment he made when he attended that international conference, and then the situation with the NSAS protest of 2020. How do you feel hearing Nigerian youths, to an extent, being excited or not taking this news the way it should have been taken, ordinarily, solemnly?
Again, it depends on who. He doesn't belong to their generation. He doesn't. I'm of an older generation. I'm of the generation that witnessed the parliamentary system growing up as a young child, a young boy, going to secondary school. Even though we paid school fees at the time, my father, through hard work, was able to pay. Went to university in Nigeria here. I went to University of Nigeria, campus, for my medicine degree. And in my first year, I had a federal government scholarship because I had Division 1 distinction. And later, these central states processed our papers for indigenous of each central state who were in universities, and gave me another scholarship, but they call their own bursary. Well, my bursary was bigger than the federal government. What I would do after paying me my bursary and I pay my school fees and everything, I have about 1,000 to 1,500 left for my books and upkeep. And from there, I went to work, house officer. You get car advance for vehicle, and you buy or top it up and buy the car of your choice. At the time, 504 was car of choice. In the university, we ate with meal coupons. And so I do not think that this generation has benefited much in terms of the welfare states that our constitution envisages for Nigeria.
So, so as far as President Muhammadu Buhari is concerned, do you think that the youths are justified to not be happy with him after leaving, after spending 8 years in office? That's one. If you don't think so,
yes,
what do you think the president did for the young generation, the youth population of Nigeria?
Yes,
during 8 years of his office.
He tried his best. He tried his best for the young people. If you remember, Minister Sonny Dare had a program, and we put it up at council, and we passed it for him to establish a young people's fund. We also established the NSIP's Social Investment Program, of which the Empower Program was a major hub of that particular program. And that Empower Program is for the young people to go and get employed on a temporary basis, transition basis, for 1 year, and from 1 year to 2 years, and they were paid till they get a permanent job. So it is for young people. So you had the entrepreneurship schemes and training programs. My NDE had training programs for young people to give them skill and for them to be self-employed. The Bank of Industry had one also, and all this were funded. But like I told you, the population has continued to grow. And the bulge in this population is in the middle, the young people. And they constitute 40 to 60% of the population we have in Nigeria. So even in ILO, all countries are having problem with this youth bulge. And so Nigeria is trying, but the resources, like I told you, has remained non-enlarged, and the population has been growing.
But as Minister of Labour for 8 years, would you confidently say that these youth programs worked? Because we've tracked the concerns with these programs. Remember that the NPOWER specifically had to be stopped at some point, and because of certain concerns, implementation problems, and so with all the other programs. But as Minister of Labour, to what extent would you say that the president achieved some of his plans that you say he had for the young population?
Well, I don't want to be over bloated or profuse in my saying that at least moderate success was achieved. Because that program, that NSIP program, was the biggest social investment program in Africa. I can tell you. I go to ILO meetings and we compare notes. Our program was very huge. But again, like you were asking, funding was a major problem. Funding was a major problem. You budget X amount of money for that program during his time, and you can't fund it 100%. you're able to fund maybe 60%, 70%. But that is according to the needs, because there are competing needs. That you have mentioned security, defense will take a large chunk of it. Agriculture loans, agriculture subsidy will take a lot of it. Education will take a lot of it. So there were competing needs. And
Let me get your response to this, because also since the announcement of his death in London, in a London hospital, Nigerians have pointed to leadership failure. While some say he's 82, age could have caught up with him, others say that he had 8 years to develop the health sector. And considering that for the past 8 years that he was, for the 8 years he was president, he embarked on quite a number of medical trips. How do you react to those who condemn his failure in developing the health sector?
there was no failure in development.
You think he developed the health sector?
Well, he tried his best, and the results are there. At COVID, you saw how we fought COVID here. It's a health issue. It's a health emergency.
But COVID was more reactionary.
Well, but it's health.
Nigeria was basically following world models.
Exactly.
So what new hospitals were built? What new health infrastructure were put in place? The issue of research for medical purposes is still a major concern in Nigeria.
Exactly.
So what exactly did he do to improve the health care system in Nigeria?
The healthcare sector in Nigeria did not suffer badly under him. New health centers were constructed. Primary healthcare centers were constructed. If you go to the budget,
But primary health care centers are not the responsibility of the federal government.
But the states are not doing them.
Yeah.
And the federal government was forced to do them. I don't know whether you assess the budget of National Assembly. If you do, you will see that most of the constituency projects that even members put in there, primary healthcare centers are there. So my take, like I said, is the practitioners to sit up. These centers are there. The state governments also should sit up. They are there. A lot of them are lying fallow. I have, on my own statistics, before I left government, about 10,000 primary healthcare centers are not being utilized as we speak today. So why? It's a state issue. You have aptly pointed out that the federal government are not supposed to go there. Yeah. But when representatives of the people put them in the budget as their own constituency project, you are bound to do it. You are bound to do it. So even as you talk, the cancer center in Lut is there. The one in Umuahia is there. There's one here in Abuja. And I will not say that for a country that is competing with little funds being spread all over the place, that they have not tried. Even the welfare of doctors, even the welfare of nurses.
But I mean, I think the explanation for the average Nigerian would be that some of these illnesses that our leaders, political leaders, have to travel abroad for, if government could improve on our healthcare system and they don't have to travel, it would be visible enough for Nigerians to commend government for. Because primary healthcare, primary as it may sound, it's basically for malaria and those little other
diarrhea.
You could easily treat it. But how about those are the illnesses that get complicated over time? What is government doing, or what did the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari do to at least improve those areas?
Well, like I keep on telling you, some specialist centers were upgraded.
Oh, and then I need to remind you as well that under him we had a lot of capital flight. You fought to keep doctors back in Nigeria.
Yes, yes.
And they complain about the state of
we gave them
infrastructure
40% rise in their salaries. when I was there.
Well, they didn't just complain about salaries.
Then
They complained about infrastructure, medical equipment to work with.
I agree to some extent, but I can also tell you that a bad workman quarrels with his tools.
A what?
A bad workman
Okay.
will quarrel with the tools which is working. If you're not happy in your workplace, you will quarrel with the tools. I have been to some teaching hospitals, even as I'm out of government. I've sent people in there, and even 2 months ago, I sent one of my staff to the teaching hospital at Nnewi, and they did a marvelous job there. Yes, they did a brain surgery on him, and he's alive. He's going about. A lot of prostate treatment are undertaken here. It's a question of, it's a multifaceted thing. You are increasing their salary, but the money is devalued. And somebody is outside there telling them, you can come on $5,000 a month. They multiply it and things like that. And some of them, they will go.
Why do you think President Muhammadu Buhari was unable to fix the power problem of this country? I remember that he spoke against the privatization process several times, and many investigations were carried out as to why that project failed.
No, the power area, I don't want to discuss it on open television. I had been chairman or deputy chairman, senior committee on power. And of course, the privatization done during Jonathan. If you go and play the tape of the meeting in the State House, you see my comment there. That was when the company, there was a company that was coming to take over transmission. They said they're from Canada. And eventually we discovered they're not Canadians. And so we put out a blueprint. I was in charge of power sector because it was power, steel, and metallurgy committee. And the main chairman of the committee, distinguished Senator Philip Aduda, considered me to manage the power while he does steel and metallurgy. And we put out a blueprint on privatization of that sector. It was not followed. It was not followed. Despite the fact that we raised an alarm that if you don't do it that way, we'll be like the Canadians that privatized and failed and came back. But they were able to come back and succeed because they developed the economy. We're not developed here. So the privatization was badly done. And once their foundation is not restructured.
Was there corruption embedded in it?
Of course there was corruption.
So why did the president at the time not bring anyone to book?
Well, the corruption there wasn't an overt corruption of sort. Everybody knows what happened there later. And so I don't want to go into that area.
Okay.
I want to excuse myself.
Now, let me ask you a general question.
I will be declassifying government secrets.
What is it about former President Muhammadu Buhari that you want Nigerians to remember with regard to how he governed?
Well, I want them to remember that this president that came at a very difficult time in our nation's history, in terms of security, in terms of even the economy that has nosedived, and yet give his country his best. And that even as a soldier, He served his country well. He was an S&T officer. Later on, was a battalion commander, brigade commander in the war front. And after the war, he was a divisional commander. The story that the press remembers easily is that he was one who chased the Chadian troops that crossed the border and annexed some villages in the Borno state, northeast, and he chased them into Chad and followed them up there. Even when the commander-in-chief was telling him, it's enough, he do. He continued fighting them because he loves Nigeria. I can tell you that. And he loves the poor. He's pro-poor. He's a pro-poor president.
No, he didn't lift the poor out of poverty. So his plan is to lift 100 people out of poverty has been jettisoned.
He's a compassionate man, if you come close to him.
Yeah, Senator, you know that intentions are entirely different from actions and results. So Nigerians will judge based on results. But let me ask you this, from what you've said, because I had hoped you'd talk about some developmental projects that he did that are lasting enough, or some foundation that he laid, which perhaps this present government and subsequent governments will build on.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this question. What will the people of the Southeast remember him for? Remember that the agitation grew louder under former President Muhammadu Buhari. And the people of the Southeast felt excluded from his administration. And then there's the issue with Nnamdi Kanu. But then in general, as I said, what will the people of the Southeast remember President Muhammadu Buhari for?
Well, I will answer your question. It's a very loaded question that if I start going into it, you have different compartments. I can spend 1 hour with you. But I want the present government to build on the foundation of the good things that he did, or good projects that he has initiated. They're there.
You mentioned some of them.
Oh, yes. For example, completing the Lagos-Ibadan to Abuja road, the rail line from Port Harcourt through Aba, Enugu, Makurdi, Jos to Maiduguri. Doing it and finishing it. Then the coastal rail from Lagos down again through Ijebu-Ode, Benin, Warri to Bayelsa, Yenagoa, and the rest of them with a spur at Benin into Asaba to Onitsha to southeast Enugu. And there are so many projects that are his legacy projects.
Okay.
Kaduna Kanu, finishing it. And we need all those projects finished. And the people of Southeast, you asked about, he did projects for Southeast people. The only thing is that I'm from the Southeast, and my people, they like appointments. And when you give them appointments, they don't feel excluded. He gave projects to them. I have seen him many times over appointments. I did many times as his minister and as person that has access to him at any time I wanted. And I know what he told me about the projects. The cardinal legacy projects, he inserted Second Niger Bridge and started it and finished it. I went to represent him to commission it. He started Enugu, Abakaliki, that goes to Ogoja and then to Cameroon. He started them and finished them. Enugu Onitsha, he started them with government budget and later on put it into the credit scheme. And RCC is doing it on behalf of MTN. If you go there, the road is there speaking. Enugu, Port Harcourt. Enugu, Okigwe, Umuahia, Aba, Port Harcourt. He started it and did some sections. I ride on those roads. And the center in Umuahia, the cancer center in Umuahia, diagnostic center, actually, is world class. It's a world class.
Okay, so that's beautiful.
So
I just want to draw your attention.
No, our people should not carry it too far. The Nnamdi Kanu question is very dear to our people. That's why I met him and we fixed an appointment. He said, bring the leaders. I brought the leaders of Southeast. Late Chukwemeke Ezife, Mbazulika Mechi, Bishop Onoha, Godio Wazulika of Aki Kenga, he was the president, and myself. And we went and discussed. That was how these leaders were given access to Nnamdi Kanu. And I prodded him to release Nnamdi Kanu, but because it's a political solution that is needed there.
You think he failed in that regard?
Well, he didn't do it.
Before he leave in office?
But he said it was a difficult request because the matter is in the judiciary. But if the matter is in the judiciary, there's what the Constitution have said. As president, you can go under prerogative of mercy and apply it. You can ask the Attorney General to do a nolle prosequi. Okay. These are things that are right. And now the Kenyan court has said that even the repatriation is illegal. So I'm calling on President Buhari, Bola Tinubu to exercise his rights as per the Constitution and solve that matter. We are leaders in the Southeast. We can guarantee him. We can take Nnamdi Kanu on guarantorship so that he can be released, so that our people will now have peace. So that when anybody is doing ESN or doing IPOP of close down on Monday, close down on court day, we would then know that that person is a bandit, that what he's doing is banditry, terrorism, or even robbery.
If you were unable to convince President Buhari, who was your close friend,
yes,
and with whom you worked for 8 years,
yes,
how do you think you'd be able to convince?
Bola Tinubu, president, is also my friend. We have come a long way. We've come a long way from AC, in fact, from 2003, when I was governor. I had known him when he was a senator.
And you're still close till this moment?
I'm friend, but I'm not a part of the government, so I don't go to Villa.
Why is that so?
No, I'm doing other things.
Well, you still have
I just came back.
Relationship with him?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So I'm advising him that this is where my former boss failed, for reasons best known to him. You know, he's a soldier. So if this present president does that, he will have some good marks from the Southeast.
Well, that was Senator Chris Ngige speaking on his relationship with the president as we looked deep into the life and times of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Well, the concluding part of that interview will focus on the abduction story of Senator Chris Ngige. It will air next week. Anyways, thanks for your time. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.